So, after the French Revolution has impacted, we have seen how the people are being changing their attitude towards the Napoleon's rule. We already have discussed how the systems are going on in respect to Napoleon's code and conduct. We already know that autocratic regimes or autocratic monarchies are present. How is the concept of nationalism spreading in Europe? What are the factors that led to the spread of nationalism in Europe? Let us think in the practical terms, or let us find out what actually is happening in Europe. Europe can be broadly categorized into two parts, Eastern Europe, Western Europe. So after categorizing Eastern Europe and Western Europe, you can see that there are autocratic monarchies present here. Autocratic monarchies are the monarchies who have come with the arbitrary rule of the family hierarchy, and monarchy itself gives a clear picture for us that they are coming from the hierarchy line. They are not at all in the favor or interest of the people. And next one, they are not having any collective identity. The collective identity means here that they do not follow any common language, common culture, common pattern of religion or anything else. But still, they are bound. Only the reason is because they are having common allegiance to an emperor. They are controlled by a large and mighty powerful emperor. So under his control only they are working. Other than that, there is no common element which is binding them together. And it's not only the case with Eastern and the Western of Europe. We have many countries also. In specific, if you take the Austria and Hungary, which are under the control of the Habsburg family. Austria has a different set of culture and pattern. Hungary had a different set of culture and pattern. But both are bound only because they are controlled by the Habsburg family. And then if you take Italy, Germany, Venetia, Lombardy, Lombardy, Venetia, Parma, Modena, Tuscany, all these places, Galicia, Germany, Bohemians, Slavs, Romans, there is no political unity at all in any aspect. They are neither speaking any common language, neither following any religion, neither following any patterns which are similar in their lifestyle. So then what is the common binding between all these people? Because they have a common boss. The common boss is a common emperor. The common emperor controls everybody, so the same taxation, same rules which are made by the emperor, not by the people for themselves. They are forced to follow all these rules and regulations which are made by the emperor. These all things made them to be bound together. So this bounding together made them to think against a common enemy. This factor of common enmity or common problems which they are facing made them to think on the same guidelines towards to fight out against the ruler. This was the base, the foundation for the growth of a seed of nationalism. The seed of nationalism has been incepted because of the extreme powers which are being enforced on them by the dictators or the monarchies. This monarchy is bound various different cultural people. When the different cultural people are bound together and asked to perform in a similar way, that forces the people to think and have their own identity. Their own things have to be under their own religion, their own practices have to be respected. These all things changed the pattern or the mindset of the people's thinking. So then, after the mindset of the people has been taken, the other major class which is in the existence of the European society, what is the other major section of the people coming under? Once if they are bound by some authority, the other major sections of the people, let us find out the different classes of people who live in Europe. What are the different categories of people that who stay in Europe? We have the major role played by the aristocracy, next the middle class. Let us first find out of the aristocracy. Aristocracy people have a common way of life. As I told you just now, there is no common way of life in these people's togetherness. They all are not together because they follow a common pattern, common religion or common language. They do not follow any of these things in common. They are only bound by the authorities of a common man. That man is a monarch and emperor. But when it comes to here in the aristocracy, you have a common way of life. We have a common owned estates. They have their own estates. Everybody often owns an estate. Generally they have their own estates. Then the language which is spoken by them is a French language. It used to be used for official purposes. So they used to speak official language, French language for the diplomatic relationships, and they also have marriage bonds or marriage ties having between them each other. So within their own group, they used to get married their own daughters to the other people, where that they should maintain their own status of aristocracy people. And moving, peasantry was the other major class of the society which is found here. Then we have the growing of the middle class people in the bulk. So the aristocracy people are not very large in number but very influential in society. They are in a very minor section of the community of the society. They are falling under very less pattern of society. They are coming under very few in number in terms of numbers. But their influence has been very large. They own thousands of acres of land under their names of estates. That is the reason why they hold a large group of peasants. They used to force the peasants to work for bonded labor, slavery. They used to have a clear serfdom. They favored the federalism concept. They have the feudal lord concept. They used to act as a manor lords. So these all things made the people to think against them, to talk against them, to raise their voices against them. So how did the people get that courage to talk against them? Because peasants are working under the same community. They used to face the atrocities, whatever they used to do. So moving on to the other pattern. When it comes to the development of the middle classes, the role of the industrial revolution has never been neglected, because the process of development of a common man started only with the industrial revolution. With the rapid changes that came out in the industrial revolution, revealed the fact that a common man also can do work in the industries, irrespective of the agriculture field, irrespective of the climatic conditions, irrespective of the problems which are the lack of rains, lack of seeds and all these things. He can work for a specific period of time and he can earn a fixed amount of salary which would raise their standard of living in their lives. These industrial revolution, rapid growth, trade across the countries. Initially, people used to trade within their own countries. But as the time passed on, people started to trade to the other countries, to the abroad nations. With that, their same trade has been expanded to various countries. The income of their families has been increased to a very large extent when it compared to the previous times. So these all things made it very clear the development of a common man standard to a middle class level, where they have done a hard work, they are being paid for that. So this kind of industrial revolution, changes in the 19th century, which all made a new class to turn up. We have initially the nobles, the aristocrats, then a peasantry group. But in the middle we got the middle class people who got benefited by the industrial revolution, who earned their incomes by the industrial rapid changes, who used to have trade rings with the other nations. So these all things made other group to step in, to have their own identity. So they got the courage to ask against the atrocities which are made by the aristocracy or the monarchy. These developments also favored for the rise of nationalism. As the aristocrats had a common culture, common way of living, commonly owned estates and all these things. In the same way, in the guidelines of the aristocratic lifestyle, the middle class people also started to own certain wealthy properties, have a systematic pattern of life, worshipping a common god, having a common language of conversation, having a common currency, having a trade links with other people. This also made the middle class people to gain a prominence important in the society. So these all things also gave wave to rise of the favoritism of nationalism.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.